Welcome to the Knox Soccer Podcast, where we tell the soccer stories of our favorite big town, little city, Knoxville, Tennessee, and around the world. I'm Patrick Teasdale.
And I'm Brian Gabriel Canever.
On this episode, we are recapping the summer of soccer so far. We got One Knox updates, Copa América and Euro finals to discuss. We got the Olympics to preview, as well as U.S. men's national team coaches to hire. We got to figure that out, Brian. We got to hire somebody quick. But before all that, Brian, what is your favorite summer beverage that you have been relaxing to lately?
No, that's a good one, Patty. You're sounding kind of low down here, Patty.
Okay,
like
I will have to. I will to say, working from home with a 6-month-old who's now on a nap schedule, I have gotten many the. I don't want. How do I say this? Stern text from my wife about how loud I am. So yeah, this is my new max. Yeah, so I'm kind of going for the late night jazz DJ, radio DJ vibes. So
I like that. I've been in the same boat. Actually, when I moved to Tennessee from New Jersey, I had to find a new max volume, since I was much louder than every other human I met down here, and so I kind of adjusted then. And then after the kids were born, I had to adjust once more. My kids are also napping, though. Fortunately, they are upstairs. I am downstairs.
Haley solved this for you and put you in the basement. I'm on the same level. We haven't finished our basement out, and if we do, I'm going down there. No doubt.
Yes, exactly. She was like, you can have all the fun you want as far away from where the rest of the action in this house happens.
Yep.
So speaking of summer beverages, I'm a discount shopper, Patty. Most of our groceries come from Aldi. If it's not at Aldi, it's probably not going to be in our house. But now that we live in Halls, we've been making many a trip out to the UGO, the United Grocery Outlet, which is right there on Maynardville Pike. And I'm a big fan of UGO. They've got an array of stuff. I actually picked up a book about U.S. women's soccer with that was partly written, I think, by Caitlin Murray, popular U.S. women's soccer writer, and another book about soccer for kids for 50 cents there.
No
they have a special bin of stuff that they try to get rid of. And, I always go in the back and they have their wine section, and everything at UGO is $2 or $3.
Nice.
So there's this strawberry lemonade Moscato that they sell at UGO that's $2.99. And, at first I kind of stuck my nose up at it. I was like, I'm not going to drink something that's $2.99. And then I tried it, and it's amazing. So I've been drinking this strawberry lemonade Moscato. It's a perfect summer drink.
What everyone doesn't know is Brian is Argentine through and through, but underneath, he's just a basic white chick, That's all he is.
Yes. Well, I'm my cool guy drink. If I want to be cool, the popular summertime drink in Argentina is Fernet con Coca-Cola, which is just, Fernet, which is a liquor that only Argentinian and Italian people drink. And then you throw some Coca-Cola on top. The traditional way you drink it is you actually cut a 2 liter of Coca-Cola at near the bottom, and then you fill it with ice. So you have the Coke in there already, fill it with ice, and then you put the Fernet in. I don't drink it like that because I'm not allowed to have regular Coca-Cola in my house. So I drink Coke Zero.
Yeah.
But that is a drink. Actually, my favorite website for receiving Argentinian products in the U.S. shut down in the past 3 or 4 months. So I actually had to find it was Argentina Select. So I actually found a new one online. I ordered a bottle of Fernet from there. I've been drinking that, but man, the strawberry lemonade Moscato takes it. What about you, Patty? What have you been enjoying?
I'm a little on the fruity side as well. We have been enjoying Radlers, so grapefruit lagers from Saint Pauline brewery, Belgian brewery, or whoever makes them. That's what we've been enjoying at the house. It's low APV. It's 2.5% type of thing. And usually they come in a tall boy. So it's you can enjoy it all day, and Yeah, that's what we've been enjoying over here at the house. So yeah, little on the fruity side as well.
That's when in the summertime you have to go a little fruity,
Yep.
man. That's what it's made, especially here in Knoxville, where and it didn't rain for like 2 months. It was 95 degrees every day, and now it's just been raining for the past 10 days.
It's a swamp. Yeah.
It's hard to track, but yeah, I got you. I got
one
you,
moment
Patty.
while I let my golden retriever into the office.
Yeah.
Oh, Radagast. Yeah. I was like, hey, Rad, come on. We're recording a podcast. And he was like, nope, I don't want to do it. Speaking of dogs, One Knox just had a home match where you're able to bring your dog to the pitch. We passed that up, but I thought that was a super cool promo that they had. And this game was against Chattanooga Red Wolves in the Jagermeister Cup. And when I was checking the score, I'm like, wait, we tied. I'm like, that sucks. And then I was looking it up, and then all my, notifications, it was like, this person scored, that person scored, this person scored. I'm like, oh, wow, this is a tournament. So we got to do, we had to go out on penalty kicks and whatnot. But One Knox pulled it out, and I was super proud of the boys on that one. So speaking of all that, Brian, give us the lowdown. One Knox, how we doing?
So I think the match you're referring to is against, I think the Scruffs call them the East Bend Red Wolves.
East Ridge Red Wolves.
East Ridge, man. I don't know. What is that, Indiana?
Because this is harking back to our second season. We chatted with the original team in Chattanooga FC, which are blue and whatnot now, and they are in the MLS Next Pro. And the whole debacle there of Chattanooga Red Wolves trying to come to town. Anyways, they do play in East Ridge, and so everyone that looks down upon them calls them the East Ridge Red Wolves, and we take on that moniker as well. So
that's right. Well, I got it wrong because obviously, as you referenced, Patty, not only are we in the season of life when you go to bed early, but we're also in the season of life where your brain basically stops functioning because you're trying to manage jobs and little kids and occasional activities and drinking your, St. Pauli or your strawberry lemonade Moscato at night to calm down, to kind of like get the nerves down. But speaking of One Knox, it's actually been a pretty good month. They have been undefeated through July. We're recording on the 24th of July. Yep. So Mark McKeever's Merry Men have not dropped a game since losing 2-0 to the Greenville Triumph on June 22nd. Since then, just over a month ago, they beat Forward Madison 2-0 in the Jagermeister Cup, which I'm not a big fan of sponsored things. I'm very kind of like, ugh, when it comes to sponsors. But the fact that it's Jagermeister just kind of brings me back to my college days. And I'm like, the Jager Bomb days. And I was like, oh, man, this is great. So 2-0 in the Jagermeister Cup. They beat the South Georgia Tormenta 1-0 in the league. They beat the Northern Colorado Hailstorm 1-0 in the league, which was vengeance after being pummeled.
A huge one, right? Exactly.
That was a big win. And then they defeated the East Ridge Red Wolves 4-3 on penalty kicks after drawing 1-1 in the Jagermeister Cup. That was just a few days ago. On the 20th, that special dog promo, which I didn't attend with my dog because my dog is like 15 or 16 years old and also still partly insane. And so I was like, I'm not going to do that. But the team has been pulling out results. They're still struggling for goals, which was kind of the theme last year. They've haven't scored more than 2 goals in a game this season, but defensively, they are impenetrable. So in the league, they have 12 goals over 11 games. So they're averaging just over a goal a game. That's 8th of 12 teams in the league. But they've only allowed 9 goals, which is good enough for 2nd overall in the table. So it depends on what you like to see in your footy, Patty. If this was like 1990s Italy, the Catenaccio style, like, 1-0 all around. Like the more 1-0s you can stack up, the better. But just League One is a tough league in general. You don't see a lot of goals in many of the games. Of the goal scorers, the man who we tried to get onto our July recap episode, but we weren't able to do it, Kempis, tequila, which I think it's tequila. So I'm going to say Kempis tequila until he shows up on the pod and corrects us. He's the leading goal scorer. He's got 5 goals on the season. He's followed by Knox Soccer Podcast alum Angelo Kelly, who's got 3 goals, and Rodolfo Castro, also an alum of this pod, with 2 goals. And Sean Lewis, I don't know what we got to call him, Patty. Do we call him safe hands, hands of stone, hands of steel, the anti-Butterfingers?
Right.
He's still the best goalkeeper in the league.
Right.
It's
All
impossible
state,
to score. He should own an insurance company, because when you put that man between the sticks, you're not getting.
Well, don't give him that idea. Lewis. Well, he's already Mr. KUB, or all of my out of town friends call him Mr. Cub, because they see him on the KUB website on the billboard, and they don't know what it's all about. Anyways,
yes. Speaking of sponsors, I rock my jersey from last season, so we know this season One Knox kind of made the logo smaller on the front of the jersey, but last season KUB fiber was like nice and big, so I feel like I'm a walking KUB fiber ad. I can't even get KUB fiber here. I don't think it's coming to Halls until 2027. But I have heard it's good. I think it's the exact same price as Comcast, which is what I pay for in order to stream all these games that we're talking about right now. But back to One Knox. So right now they're 4th in the league table, and that's good because they've only got to finish in the top 8 to make the playoff cut. In their inaugural League One season last year, they didn't make the playoffs. This year, they just got to finish in the top 8. That 8th position right now is held by the Red Wolves, and we've got a 6-point advantage over them. So we're looking good. Cup works a little bit differently. You got 4 groups. Winner of each group advances to the semifinals, and One Knox is currently second in Group 2 on 11 points, just behind Forward Madison, which has 12 points. So we're like right there in contention as well. Next game is going to be this Saturday, July 27th, against Greenville Triumph in the league. And then they've got a nice little break, maybe take a little vacation, rest up, hang out by the pool. They've been playing a lot of games in really hot weather. Yep. They don't play again until August 10th versus Lexington in the Cup. So league game Saturday, July 27th, and then Cup game August 10th versus Lexington. And we'll see how it goes. But it's been a pretty good summer of soccer here in Knoxville.
It's very cool to see with the penalty shootout, all of the subs that were able to come on, they were able to shoot, which was really cool. Good to see Nashuti and Kingsford Ajay. Was it Kingsford on there? I'm looking at the commentary. Yeah, Innocent was on. He got his. Kingsford Ajay got his in, which was great. Danny Fernandez, which was great. And so just good to see the squad and the rotation of the squad, and everyone is that we've seen on the sheet has been able to play, which is super, super cool.
Yeah, the one bummer for me has been that a lot of these games are late in the evening. Most of the games have been at 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. And that's just really hard for families with young kids to go to. Makes complete sense. It's been extremely hot. We'll get into that when we talk about Copa America in a second. But we've had 90+ degree weather. I get why we do it here in the U.S., why we play on a different calendar than what most of the other leagues play on in the world. We play through summer. Most of the other leagues play through winter, and they get the summers off. But man, it's so hard to expect these players, not just the fans, but the players also to play at their top level when it's 90+ degrees outside. I don't want to kick a soccer ball when it's that hot outside. So yeah, it's been hard. My family, we've been spending most of our nights at the pool. We're members at Alice Bell Community Pool in Fountain City. So we spend most of our evenings there. And, it's basically the only thing that you can do when it's this humid outside. But looking forward to kind of the weather cooling off and maybe getting back to a game in August and September. The kids are still, we got to get them in bed by 8:00 if we want any peace and quiet. We're trying our best to do it. So
I'm trying to get my work department to go to a game in the early fall. So I've been in contact with Case on that one, the ticket manager over there. So looking forward to getting the whole Clayton crew out to a match. So
nice.
All right, Brian. Well, you've been spending your money at the pool for a pool membership and going to see Copa America games. Let's get into Copa America. Tell us all about it.
Copa America. So that wrapped up, what was it? It was not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before that. Man, that was a very tense Sunday for me. So final, Argentina made it to the final. Kind of had a criticized run up to the final. Of course, you got to beat the teams that you play against. But after they played Canada, beat them 2-0. That was the game that I went to in Atlanta. They beat Peru and Chile in the group. Then in the quarterfinals, they played Ecuador, won in a penalty shootout. Emi Martinez, the greatest goalkeeper in the world, the absolute man. Some people, I love it because when, you see a player who's kind of rough around the edges, a little bit of a showman. If it's on a team that you don't like, you're like, instantly want to dump on them. But if it's on your team, you love it, right? Like,
right. It's so great.
You want that personality on your team, right? Like, another Argentinian player who brings a lot of controversy, Rodrigo de Paul, right? Like, I don't want to play against a player like that who's, always looking to pick and start fights. But man, I want him on my team, right? I want that personality on my team. And so Emi Martinez, big hero in the shootout win against Ecuador in the quarterfinals, played Canada again in the semifinals, another win against them, and then played Colombia in the finals. And man, Colombia was hot, right? They were like on a 20-plus game winning streak. The last game they had lost was in the South American qualifiers against Argentina. It was a super tense game, went into added time or into extra time, and then Argentina pulled off the 1-0 victory with Lautaro Martinez. Actually, that game, it didn't end until like midnight, right? And so, I put the kids down. I was watching the game. Haley tried to stay up for as long as she could, and then eventually was like, I got to go to bed. If not, the baby's going to wake us up. Well, the baby, he was kind of like snotty, stuffed up. So he woke up like 1,000 times. So every time he would wake up, I'd just go grab him and bring him with me into the living room and watch the game with the lights off. And then, at one point Haley got up too. And so Haley and Elio got to actually see the goal with Lautaro Martinez. Beautiful build-up play. It was the three substitutes. That's why they call Scaloni a mastermind, because it was Leandro Paredes to Giovanni Lo Celso to Giovanni Lo Celso, who looks like he's leaving Tottenham, and Mike joined Emi Martinez at Aston Villa, and then to Lautaro, the Bull Martinez, who scored 1-0 win. And so, yeah, it was a great Copa America for me. It wasn't such a great Copa America for the U.S. men. So while Argentina achieves something that hadn't been done since Spain did it, which was to win a continental tournament, then a World Cup, and then another continental tournament. That was 2008, 2010, 2012 for Spain. Argentina did it 2001, 2002, 2024. The U.S. men went out in the group stage. We had our friends from the American Outlaws on our last episode to kind of preview the tournament, talk a little bit about the tournament. And yeah, I thought despite, some of the controversy with Tim Weah going off for a red card against Panama, and then Uruguay beating him in the final group stage game with a goal that people argued about the validity of that goal or not. The fact that we couldn't score a goal in a crucial game, the fact that Gregg Berhalter just looked like tactically very naive, and that despite going out so early in a tournament that we hosted, we finally saw Triple G gone. Berhalter is finally out, which is something that American fans have been pleading for at least 2 years since the last World Cup when, so in a way it was bad and good. Not a great show when we're going to host a World Cup in 2 summers. But at least we have an opportunity now to bring in a coach who may be more equipped to beat our team. How did you get a chance to watch any of the Copa America, Patty?
I didn't. Actually, a shout out to this fantastic app that I found. It's called FootMob, FOTMOB. But it's a great one where you can follow your teams, and it gives me a whistle every time, a game's about to start and whatnot. So I was able to keep up just kind of throughout the day of different things. But the next day, I knew the final had happened. I Googled the results, and then I saw a couple of the headlines, and I sent a text to you saying, "Are you okay?" ? And then my second one was, "Is Messi okay?" ? Because I gotta make sure, I gotta keep an eye on my buddies here, just because I know how much it takes out of you watching Argentina play. You were fine, and then you personally informed me that you have already talked to Messi and he was okay. Injured, but okay.
Yes. I don't remember. This is how kind of like delusional and tunnel visioned I get while I'm watching games. I don't even remember who like communicated to me, who I responded to. But yeah, Messi tore some ligaments in his ankle in the final. I mean, that image of just like seeing Messi in tears in the final.
Yeah. Well, and he, went off because of injury before there was anything on the board. So, I mean, for him, I can feel and see the emotion, and it makes sense because he's like, this means so much. I want to win this, Yeah.
Yeah, it was tough, man. The Copa America in general was pretty tough. I don't know how many games you were able to see, but, there was a lot of criticism to U.S. soccer because people assumed that U.S. soccer had a hand in organizing the tournament. The fields were very poor quality, right? You saw like the turf and the grass just being torn up every time the player stepped on it. The organization was poor. The final, you had a bunch of people breaking in. They were able to get into the game without tickets. The final was delayed over an hour and a half. That's what actually let me see it with my kids in bed because we had plenty of time to put them down. The quality of the experience, the refereeing, yada yada, was pretty poor. CONMEBOL, which is the confederation in South America, they organized it themselves. CONCACAF didn't have a hand in it. U.S. Soccer didn't have a hand in it, and CONMEBOL did it as a money grab. And so there was no mediator. There was like no local intermediary like U.S. Soccer did in 2016 when the last time the Copa America was here. So I thought it was just a pretty poorly organized tournament that just represented of the corruption that exists at the highest levels of soccer. It's the saddest thing about this game that we love. I've always said the game is never more beautiful than when it's played by little kids on a field with no referees or when it's played as pickup soccer. I think that we still, of course, want professional teams that we love to win. We want our national teams to win, but we have to recognize that just corruption is like seeping through the sport once you get up to that professional level. So that was a huge bummer. You saw Messi, he tore some ligaments in his ankle. It looked like he also pulled a muscle while he was running. How much the field, had to do with that? How much, the fact that he's 37 years old had to do with that? I don't know. But I don't expect for people who've been like, this is a sign that, the World Cup's going to be a disaster in 2026. I don't think so. U.S. Soccer and CONCACAF will do a better job of organizing that. It's going to be a great tournament. But yeah, the thing that I thought was hardest, and you're going to talk about the Euros in a second, Patty, is when you compare the fact that Euros were being held in Germany. I think the cheapest tickets were like 20 euros for people to get in. The stadiums were packed. The like just environment, the cheering, all that stuff was incredible. Copa America, CONMEBOL held the games in American football stadiums and NFL stadiums. For some of them, like the third place game between Canada and Uruguay, it looked like the stadium was about 10% full. It looked like it was COVID times again, where they were letting only a percentage of people into the stadiums. And that was a total money grab by CONMEBOL because they wanted to make more money. The tickets were, I think the cheapest tickets you could find were usually around $200. I paid $250 per person, and I got my tickets to go see Argentina and Atlanta the first minute they went on sale, on pre-sale a couple of months ago. So, that's just like the reality that we live with, unfortunately, in a country where like, soccer is seen as business and it's treated as business and we're treated as customers.
Well, and that's why all of the EPL teams come for summer tours of the US, and it's like, and they only play on the coast, the East Coast and the West Coast, it's like, they're not coming into, Sporting KC,
it's the same reason why we see the Gold Cup finals and the Nations League finals held in LA, knowing that when the US plays Mexico, it's going to be a 95% Mexican fan base. It's because you make the most money there. If I were the head of US soccer, if I was Cindy Parlow Cone, every game between the US men and the Mexican men would be played in North Dakota or in Minnesota, in a place where you are
Target Center or whatever.
Yeah, U.S. majority, just like we did against Costa Rica. Or no, sorry, it was Honduras. Well, Costa Rica in the snow, that was like a decade ago, and then we played Honduras in the last qualifiers in below 0 degree weather. You saw Matt Turner like running around to stay warm. The Honduran goalkeeper being taken out at halftime for hypothermia symptoms. Like, that's how it should be, but unfortunately, it's not. But We do now have the Finalissima set for next summer. Argentina, winners of the Copa America. Spain, winners of the Euro Championship. You saw that picture that went around. It went viral of an ad campaign that happened in Barcelona in like 2008 or 9, where Messi was giving a bath to Lamine Yamal, the Spanish hero. I don't know if you saw that picture, Patty, but he's like giving him a bath as part of this like magazine thing, you know, when Lamine was like, I don't know, 8 months old or something like that. With his mom in there. It was a nonprofit calendar thing, and now they're gonna face each other. It's super cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah, let's get into the Euros, Patty. What happened?
Well, like you said, Spain won. Yamal, youngest Euro champion of age 17. But the final is back on July 14th against Spain versus England. To get here, Spain knocked out the German host in the quarterfinals and then bested European powerhouse France in the semis. And then reigning champ Italy didn't make it past the round of 16, and they fell to Switzerland, which was interesting. England on PKs defeated Switzerland in the quarterfinals, and then Netherlands in the semis. So the match, first half, remained goalless, even though Spain controlled most of the half. Moments after the second half began, Spain scored, and then in the 73rd minute, a Saka to Bellingham to Palmer. Palmer sent it in downrange, back of the net, tying it 1-1. And then a Spanish sub, Mikel Oyarzabal, brought the defining blow in the 87th minute, tapped home a cross into the box from Cucurella, and England tried to equalize in the dying minutes. Both attempts were blocked, but Spain returns as European champions. And then this is the stat that was kind of heartbreaking, definitely heartbreaking. England now back-to-back Euro runner-ups and still seeking, significant international hardware after a 57-year drought. English soccer news and whatnot has probably pummeled them enough with whatever. But
let's keep it going, though. Come on,
let's keep it
those
going.
Colonizers. I'm in a men's group, and one of the guys was in England for some like training for work. He worked for a company based in England, and he was there for July 4th. And we were like, "Did you shove it in their faces? You should always shove it in their faces." But I'm always happy to hear England has lost. I could be on the top of Mount Everest.
Even your boy Jordan Pickford, and you're just like, you just don't care when he puts on those Trish Lions. You're just like, you're dead to me.
I want England to lose all the time. My daughter is named Alba. Which is a Spanish name, but it's also the name of Scotland in Gaelic. And I feel like a deep connection to Scotland. I feel like if I hadn't been born here in Argentina, I would have wanted to be born in Scotland. And so the Scottish have this saying, ABE, anyone but England. They did an ad campaign about it. They just like do not want to. And I'm like, I can empathize with that so much. I feel like, I have like Scottish infusion in me. And so, I just like love it when England loses. I have that mix of Scottish and Argentinian. Plus, the fact that we've seen Hamilton. We know what happened, Patty. We've listened to the album on Spotify. Come on.
Yep. No, I was definitely rooting for Spain in that one. It's great to see them return to the throne, which is great. So, were you able to watch this one, Brian?
The final, yes, I watched dude. We had I actually put it in my calendar. I put everything in my Google Calendar. We have like my wife and I have a shared calendar, and so it was her sister's birthday that day too, and she was doing like a little party at Barley's. So we left church, came home, napped the kids real quick. Then you had 3:00 the Euro final. I let Haley drive my car to Barley's because the game was still being played. It got into extra time, and so I was like, okay, you drive. I'm going to keep watching on my phone. Got to Barley's, watched the last couple of minutes there. It was great. There was an English guy that was sitting there watching the game when Spain scored the second goal, and it was so beautiful to experience. And so, watched that, hung out at Barley's, and then I was like rushing to get back because the Argentina-Colombia final was supposed to start at 7, got delayed, of course. I watched the game. It was a great final. Probably better quality final than than Argentina Colombia. I don't even know how to objectively watch or talk about Argentina games because I'm just like so tense the entire time.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Spain are just really, really, really good. I enjoyed the entire Euros tournament. It was fun having soccer basically on all day long.
Yep.
And now that I also work from home most of the time, I would just throw it on my TV and I'd be working on my laptop, so I get to watch a lot of soccer. And speaking of, we've got more and more soccer happening because the Olympics are underway, Patty. They've officially started today, July 24th. We've got Olympic soccer going on.
20 minutes away from USA going up against, you say France?
Oh, yeah, the hosts, France. The Olympics are being held in Paris, as you know, and there's already been controversy on day one involving the French, but I'll talk about that in a second. So, yeah, we've got the men's and women's tournaments. Our listeners will already know the result of the U.S. men's game against France by the time that this podcast releases. We will not, because it's starting in roughly 20 minutes. So just to kind of preview for folks who don't know, who don't watch Olympic soccer, format is a little different for the men and for the women. So for the women, it's essentially a mini World Cup. 12 teams qualified, players of any age are up for selection. For the men, it's not, because it's not considered part of the FIFA calendar. And, a lot of the players just come from playing in the Euros and in the Copa America. So clubs are not required to release any players. There was this controversy in 2008 when Argentina won. Barcelona didn't want to release Messi, and Messi went against the club to go and compete, and then Argentina eventually won the gold. Haven't seen any controversy like that happening this time around. The way that the men's tournament kind of gets around FIFA is by turning it into an under-23 tournament, and 3 overage players are allowed to participate. So it's mostly U23s, 3 overage players. What does that mean? It means that you're not going to see superstars on the men's side like you're going to see on the women's side. Biggest names for the men of the overage players are probably Julian Alvarez and Nicolas Otamendi for Argentina, Alexander Lacazette for France, Achraf Hakimi for Morocco, Naby Keita played for Barcelona. He's with Guinea. Miles Robinson and Walker Zimmerman are 2 of the U.S. overage players. Junior Firpo for Dominican Republic. Super exciting. Dominican Republic in the Olympics for the first time. Usually, you'd expect USA and Mexico to be the teams that qualify to CONCACAF, but DR made it. Now, on the women's side, you're going to see everybody. So you've got Aitana Bonmatí and Salma Parajuelo from Spain, the world champion. They're going to be competing. You've got Eugène Le Sommet for France. I'm pronouncing it, of course, in a native French accent.
Yep.
You're going to see Alexandra Popp for Germany. Marta's playing her last ever tournament for Brazil. She's retiring after this. Linda Caicedo, who was like the breakout star for Ecuador at the World Cup. For Colombia, sorry, I got confused with Moises Caicedo. Linda Caicedo for Colombia, who's going to be competing in this. And of course, let's not forget former Lady Vol, Michelle Alozie, who's going to be lining up for Nigeria in this World Cup. And, the U.S. women, superstars. Right, we've got Lindsay Horan captaining the team, Trinity Rodman, Mal Swanson, Sophia Smith. Most of the big names are there. The tournament started today ahead of the opening ceremony for the Olympics, just because it runs for a pretty long time. And there was already controversy on day one. So Argentina opened against Morocco. That was a freaking game. Argentina was down 2-0 at halftime, came back and seemed to have tied the game 2-2 after what seemed like it was like 16 minutes of added time, which was, even the commentators were like, what in the heck is going on? Right. Well, I left thinking, oh my gosh, like emotional tie. Argentina's U23 team isn't that good. They qualified for the tournament by finishing second best in CONMEBOL, but Javier Mascherano is a coach. The team lost in the U20 World Cup, which they hosted. They hadn't actually even qualified for that tournament. They only got to host that tournament because Indonesia couldn't host it. And so the president of the AFA, Chiqui Tapia, was like, hey, we need to be able to host this. We're the world champions, yada, yada. So Mascherano is not the best coach in the world. So I was like, okay, great. They got a 2-2 draw against Morocco. Morocco has Hakimi. They have some really good players. They were semifinalists at the World Cup. Well, then I pulled up Twitter, and 2 hours later, it seemed like the longest VAR review in history. They actually had suspended the game, and they made the players come back after 2 hours. They reversed the goal because of VAR, and they gave the 2-1 win to Morocco. So the game ended 2-2. everybody went to the locker room. They're all hanging out. They're all talking post-match. And then the referee 2 hours after the game was just like, hey, I hope you guys haven't changed yet because we got to finish this out. And the controversy, of course, is that Argentina beat France in the World Cup final. There's been some controversy because of some statements that, a song that has been popular among segments of the Argentine fan base, Enzo Fernandez was caught singing it. We can get into this discussion forever, but I'm not going to publicize my feelings here because most people, you can't talk about it like this. But but basically, Enzo Fernandez has been criticized for singing this song and putting it on Instagram Live because he's a moron. You should never post your most controversial statements or whatever on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. But yeah, so the Moroccan fans had like pelted the Argentinians with like junk throughout the game. They invaded the pitch. They tried to attack the players. And so I guess everybody thought the game was over, but it was actually suspended because of that. Big mess, big mess.
Wow. First international competition that Emma Hayes gets to captain the ship for U.S. women's national team, right?
Exactly, Patty. So Emma Hayes, the head coach for the U.S. women, we kind of went a different direction than the men typically go in. We basically got the best coach that was out there, right? Won almost everything there was to win with Chelsea. Had some experience coaching in the NWSL from before she went back and coached Chelsea in England. And she already has some controversy because she didn't pick Alex Morgan for the roster. She cut Alex Morgan. But the women are still favored in this tournament to at least make it into the semifinals. They're in a group with Zambia, Germany, and Australia, who they beat for the bronze medal in the last Olympics. That was a great game. I think it finished 4-3, that bronze medal game, and that's after the U.S. women kind of stunk it up. Didn't do that well in the last Olympics, eliminating the quarterfinals of the last World Cup. So some pressure on their shoulders, but I mean, I have a lot of hope for them, and I have just a hope that the women's tournament is going to be exciting. If you don't want to watch the men's, skip the men's, just watch the women's because it's going to be a freaking blast with Colombia and Brazil and the U.S. and Germany and Spain. Oh my gosh, the Spanish women are incredible. So we got that, and then the U.S. men also qualified, Patty, for the first time since 2008. They hadn't been in the tournament in a while. They're being coached by Marko Mitrovic, a Serbian former professional. He's been in the U.S. for a while. He's been in the U.S. setup, coach with the U19s. And the U.S. men are in a group with Guinea, New Zealand, and of course France, who they're about to play. Pressure is going to be lower than it's going to be on the women, though they did bring some pretty well-known players. So Gaga Slanina, he's in goal. Gianluca Busio, Paxton Anderson, and Kevin Paredes, they're going to be some of the field players that we're going to see. They had a pretty poor performance at the Copa América. Couldn't get it out of the group. Lost Triple G. I think that this is an opportunity to show that the quality of player is still there, and our development is good. We have a young senior side. A lot of these players in the Olympics may make it into the 2026 World Cup team.
It's very true.
So the best news of all is that Schulz Brau and the American Outlaws are going to be showing all these games, right? So go hang out at Schulz Brau with the American Outlaws, watch the men and the women. Some of the games are at 9 a.m, but other ones are at 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So just bring your laptop, work, and watch a game. Drink a Helles or a Dunkel or whatever kind of beer you prefer. I don't think they have strawberry lemonade Moscato there. But yeah, so that's the Olympics. I'm excited for the tournament. I always love Olympics time. Olympic time is fun.
Olympics
you watch
is
sports
great.
You don't normally watch.
Yep. Yeah, I told Hillary, I'm like, well, we got to subscribe to Peacock for 2 months, let's do it so we can see all the stuff. Shout out to my niece. So she is a part of the USA tennis team there. And so she's going to be in Paris, organizing those athletes and keeping them in line and all that jazz. We're all Olympics out. We're maxed out. It's going to be great.
Sweet. And I think we're finishing this episode, Patty, by talking about the U.S. men's national team coaching search.
We're going to figure it out
Let's
now.
Solve it right now.
If we're going to hire Alexi Lawless or not. I mean, he is going to be free. He said he would do it for free. But this is the hot gossip that gets me out of bed every morning. Who's going to coach the U.S. men's national team to glory in 2026? And as we chatted about in the American Outlaws episode, Klopp not really a possible candidate. He flirted on Twitter.
Us.
Then he said he's holding to his year off of soccer. Yeah, we'll see if he sticks to that when they offer him the England job.
Yeah, we're going to wind up with Gareth Southgate. He's going to go coach England, of course.
It's going to be. So here are the top 5 realistic candidates that are being considered. Patrick Vieira, he's a free agent, Arsenal player fame. His most profitable time as a manager was for NYCFC. He was also at Nice, Crystal Palace, and Strasbourg. Benefits for him just being a known entity. He knows the MLS system, and could be exciting just to mix it up. Wilfred Nancy, a current Columbus Crew manager, when asked about it, he said, interested in everything. Tactically flexible. And this was the part that really kind of piqued my interest on this. Winning the MLS Cup and taking the Crew to the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So he knows what needs to get done to win, and especially in tournaments, which is super cool. Hervé Renard, this is the France's women's national team. Brian, you probably have had nightmares with Hervé in them, as he was the coach that took Saudi Arabia and stunned Argentina at the last World Cup, which, if you've been living under a rock, Argentina are World Cup champions, so they did recover, but it looked like it was going to be a non-starter for them against Saudi Arabia. So that was with Renard. He's coached several national teams and has the chops to do it. And he doesn't stay in the positions long, which actually could be our benefit. Hey, we just need you to get us to the World Cup, do a nice run through it, and you're free, and we can figure it out from there. And the next one is Mauricio Pochettino, free agent, former Chelsea manager, impressive club career from Southampton, Tottenham, and Chelsea. I feel like out of all of those, Brian, though, his Southampton bout was probably the most, like, the best one, maybe. Of just Tottenham felt weird and Chelsea felt weird. But
the big thing with Tottenham was obviously getting them to, the Champions League final.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Would have been, incredible if they had won the comeback against Ajax. But yeah, I think that, when I was looking at Pochettino and be like, oh my gosh, look at this. It was like when he was at Southampton, because
it was amazing.
Lower profile, less pressure. Pochettino, disciple of Marcelo Bielsa, who I wish we could get, but he's coaching Uruguay, coached against us.
Yeah. But Pochettino has a strong suit on improving young players, which is great because practically all of the U.S. men's national team is just young and needing that next step of shepherding and coaching. And then the last one, Gareth Southgate, free agent. And dear listener, if you've been playing along at home, you saw this one coming. England fails to win at the Euros twice, so bye-bye Southgate. But that could be to our gain. He's been criticized for playing it safe and not exciting to watch football. But hey, if you can get to the Euro finals twice, you have a playbook that does work. Maybe you can't get it across the line, but that also comes down to players on the field. So, hey, if we're taking England scraps as much as we want to see them fail in every competitive conversation, we're desperate in here, was what I'm trying to say, Brian.
Yeah,
we'll take it. We'll take them.
I don't think we're going to get worse than Gregg Berhalter.
And that's the thing. I am so, the part I'm pumped about the most is these are all non-Americans, and 4 of them are not coaching here domestically, so that is the most amazing thing, because every single conversation we've had prior to this has been MLS this, MLS that, who is the uncle that's related to the U.S. men's national team trainer, it's all been within the family, within the league, so I love it that all these people we're talking about, and these are actual reachable, attainable coaches, they're all foreign, which is great, and are drastically different than Berhalter. And so, yeah,
we'd love to hire a high quality American coach, but the fact is that American coaches haven't really gone out and performed at a high level in Europe or South America or any other
and then the ones that have we've burned bridges with.
The one that did The one that could be our head coach right now, Jesse Marsh, who said it was such an unprofessional experience that he went through the interview process that he probably wouldn't be willing to have that conversation about taking over the U.S. unless the federation were to change. So he's out of reach for us.
Which is, that shots across the bow type of thing, where it's like, yes, let's just at least get a coach to get us to the World Cup and not fall flat on our face. But if there are those type of systematic changes need to happen, then yeah, we need an overhaul eventually. But anyways, 2026, trying to get to the World Cup, and we got some coaches in here. Brian, who do you think? What are you feeling? The gut, the brain, the heart?
Man, so just like ABE, anyone but England, ABAL, anybody but Alexi Lalas. And I'm happy because Alexi, I love that he tweeted and he was like, I'd take the job and you wouldn't even have to pay me. I'll do it for free. I think Pochettino would be a huge grab, but a lot of these coaches, they don't have the experience with national teams, and national teams are obviously a different beast than club teams. Besides Reynard and Gareth Southgate, then you have Patrick Vieira, who has a familiarity with U.S. culture. I don't really know. I'm excited for anybody. I think I'd probably be more excited of the ones that you mentioned if we got Pochettino or even Wilfred Nancy. Reynard, it'd be weird to see him coaching the U.S. men because he's so European. He's so French.
Yeah, that's true.
He's so cosmopolitan. That stone face with the designer shirts and stuff like that. But who knows? I'm just excited to have somebody named and start preparing to get through our call. We don't have a qualification cycle, but to get through our friendly matches and start to build this team out and be ready to rock come summer 2026.
Yeah.
ABAL.
Agreed. That's all we got for you today on the Knox Soccer Podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, be sure to sign up for our newsletter at theknoxsoccerpodcast.com. Huge thanks to Markman Jewelers for sponsoring the podcast. Be sure to show them some love. And with that, we'll see you out in the stands at a One Knox game, as well as tuned into the Olympics. Go USA.
Go USA. Go One Knox. Let's do this. See you next time.